I'm Dr. Cindy. In this special Father's Day edition of She Speaks, I welcome Harvard grad and up-and-coming tennis star Maxi Duncan and her father, formerly an NBA player, Gerald Duncan, as they share the strength of their bond, the sacrifices made, and the power of a father's unwavering support. I want to welcome you both to She Speaks podcast. Maxie, you are such an incredible young lady. Can you please tell us about when you started to play tennis and when you had an interest in playing tennis?
Yes, it was around when I was 6 years old, and my dad wanted to put me in a sport. So I had something outside of school. And so I started with tennis and soccer at the time. And I just really clicked with tennis as I really liked the strategy of it. And I liked how it was more individual versus soccer. And I just really took to it. So I kept going with that and kind of blossomed from there.
Wow, you were only like in the fifth grade. First grade, right?
Yeah, I was really,
That's
really
so
young.
young. Yeah. So, what role did your father play in encouraging you to play? I'm sure you had some encouragement as well.
Yeah, no. My dad really noticed I had good eye-hand coordination, so he really thought I would take to tennis, and he was in charge of all of like finding coaches at nearby parks and things like that. And my mom would take me to practice, but he was really focused on, the things that I would need to learn to get better and like the journey of it. He had been watching a lot of tennis on TV of like Serena and Venus, and so he kind of had some idea of what it should look like in the development process.
Wow. What was it like having your father as your tennis coach?
It was interesting. It was nice just because he kind of knows my personality and knows like the things that I like and don't like to hear. So it kind of brought us a lot closer. But of course, he's my dad, so we did have a couple squabbles here and there. But I think overall, it definitely was beneficial to have someone who really knows you when you're learning something new, and he really knows like how best I like to learn. I'm a very visual learner, so he knew that I would need to see certain things and certain strokes to really be able to get it.
So, Gerald, um, how did you realize that she had the talent for playing tennis?
Well, I used to throw a tennis ball and other little balls at her in our basement, and I just noticed that her hand-eye coordination, even at the age of 5 and 6, was pretty fast for for the average kid. So I thought about basketball because I played pro basketball, and then I really started watching a lot of Venus and Serena on tape and her dad and the whole story. So I thought, like, hey, let's try tennis. I'd never played tennis. I've never had a family member play tennis. So it was kind of like we were learning a sport as we went along.
Because your background is an NBA basketball player. How did your experience teach her, or what did you learn from that experience to bleed over to teaching Maxi?
Well, as an athlete, I can understand having success and failure. So my patient level is probably different from a lot of parents. I didn't really expect her to be great at something at a young age, like a lot of parents, do. I
Mhm.
really went with the long game and just like, okay, I know I'm athletic. Her mom was athletic. I'm tall. She's looked like she's going to be long and tall. So I figured out when everything starts clicking in, when she gets around 18, that she would have enough athletic ability to play really any sport. But in particular, tennis, which is a sport where you really have to have a lot of technical skills. I didn't even realize how hard tennis is. It's a really, really difficult sport. And I just went with the long game. I was just very patient. When I was a athlete, after I got through playing, I managed players. I was an NBA agent. So I learned personalities. I learned my daughter's personality. I learned what she liked, what she didn't like, and I tried not to put any pressure on her playing any match. I've never, to this very day, I've never told her you have to win a match. Never. We've
Wow.
never talked about winning a match. All we talked about is trying to get better, go through the process, and then really just enjoy.
Yeah. Wow. So what is it like raising a daughter with such focus and drive? Did you instill that into her?
Some of it is she really had in herself, or everyone's kind of born with some personalities, and then other personalities you kind of groom them. But
Yeah.
I just had a slight inkling that she was going to be special in something, and she ended up being very disciplined. She didn't complain, and tennis you have to spend 5 6 hours a day, and then you have to balance school out. So there's a lot of commitment. So she's learned along the way to be super committed and not only one item, but multiple items. And that's what's really impressed is me is her ability to do 3 or 4 things and do it at a high level, which most people cannot do. Most people can do one thing, but she's been blessed to have been able to do 3 4 5 things at the same time and still do all of them at the highest level, which is really truly it's incredible.
That is a blessing. That is a how do you do that? How do you balance school, uh playing, practice and playing in your sport, and all of that? How do you balance that?
I'm just really organized. I think I kind of had to learn that from a young age when I was homeschooled, just to be able to handle everything. I like write a lot of things down. I keep track of everything. It's kind of necessary to be able to balance sort of things, and like taking your time and slowing things down is also helpful. But yeah, I would just say I'm a really organized person naturally.
Yeah, so you were homeschooled at Calpac Charter School. Uh,
Yes.
Tell us about that. You are a pretty much a legend there.
Yeah. No, I was really grateful to be able to go there. They worked with me a lot when it came to like staying on pace and scheduling my school around tennis, especially when I had to travel for tournaments and things like that. And I really loved going to school there because it was very individualized. And yet I still felt camaraderie with other students because I got to see them over like Zoom, things like this, and every few months at like little events that we had. Um, and I really enjoyed it. It was a really great experience.
Gerald, can you tell us about what it was like getting Maxie to the tournaments, and all that stuff? Because I kind of kind of stressful on a parent trying to make sure they get to all the tournaments. What were some of the pitfalls and things you had to overcome to make sure that she was present?
Well, one of the first things I noticed is we were living in El Segundo during her early parts of her tennis career,
Hmm.
but most of the tournaments were like an hour away in Orange County. So eventually we moved from El Segundo to Marina Del Rey to Orange County. Um, and it gave us the ability to not drive as much to get to tournaments because you have to be there like 30 minutes before.
Hmm.
So when we eventually moved to Orange County, all the tournaments were within 15 minutes, 10 minutes of each other, which gave us a lot of more time to kind of like relax and get there. Because if you get there too late, you actually get defaulted.
Yeah.
So tennis, you not only have to be prepared to play, you have to get there. You have to be able to, get there on time. And then when
Uh-huh.
you get there, you may not play until an hour or 2 hours later. So
Mm.
matches they don't start like a certain time. It's if you're not first up and you're a second up, and that first match on that particular court takes 2 or 3 hours, you may be waiting 2 or 3 hours. So that makes it even more difficult as a sport because you're waiting around versus other sports. You kind of know, okay, we're going to play at this time, and then we're going to get off the court, do that, and then also in tennis, you may have multiple matches the same day. And
Mhm.
I've been in matches with her, and she's played two singles and a double, and even two doubles in one day. So it's very, very tough. And, it was an experience.
And what about the expenses? I'm sure it's pretty expensive to be in these sports. Having
Well,
to save money, having to
yeah.
borrow money and things like that to make sure she gets,
Yes, the expenses of tennis is incredible. Before she really start playing tennis at a high level, I'm a real estate broker, and I was in the office every day and working hard,
yeah.
uh, and our income was decent. We didn't have any issues, but as her talent level starts climbing higher, then we had to spend more time. Then that's when it became very, very difficult. Stringing a racket is every time you break a racket, $30, $40. The actual racket itself, 200 and some dollars.
Yeah.
Then you got outfits to wear, shoes, 50, $60. You burn through them in a couple of weeks. Then also tournament fees. And then if you travel, which, we were fortunate to be able to travel at a young age, then you have airfare, you have hotel, you have food. And I forgot about the coaches.
Oh, the coach.
So there's a coach fee for every day of practice. So you have to pay a coach.
Well, I had no idea you had to pay a coach fee.
So tennis, even in the first early years of a young kid's career at 6, 7 years old, you can easily spend $50,000 on a 6 year old. And then we were competing against families that were super wealthy, so the 50,000 was no big deal. So we struggled. We got through it. We kept her going. We had a lot of people that helped us, and it was at the end of the day, it was all worth it because we knew it was going to lead to greatness. And
Absolutely.
I take a sacrifice and not eat for my daughter because I knew she was going to be great and not just tennis but academically as well. So
Yeah. Well, the
you know,
family has really made a lot of sacrifices, Maxie, for you. You are a graduate of Harvard and you got a scholarship for Harvard. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Tell us about that.
I received a lot of financial aid to be able to go to Harvard, which was amazing. Very appreciative of that because I wouldn't have been able to go there otherwise. And it really allowed me to really gain the full Harvard experience. You know, pay for my books and food and housing and all of that. And Harvard's really good about financial aid, so it was not like a super strenuous process, which was very nice.
Wow. Well, you got that scholarship because you are great at tennis, right?
I guess you could say so.
So tell us about the Harvard experience. You had to move to Boston, and what was that transition like for you, being away from your family?
Yeah, it was very different, especially because I was homeschooled previously, so I had to kind of shift to like a lot of in-person classes with a lot of other students. It's a different style of learning, but I kind of got used to it pretty quickly. I think being away from my family was more of something I had to get used to and not have them around as much.
Mhm.
But I kind of also gained a new family in the tennis team with all of the girls, and it was a great experience being able to get close to them and have kind of 11 built-in friends, and it ended up being a great time and a great experience, not just academically and athletically but just like through meeting different people and gaining a lot of new experiences. So
Wow, that is. Did you have a roommate?
yes, freshman year I had 3 roommates, and then after that I would have 2 to 3 roommates until I graduated.
3 roommates in one room?
Yeah, we had freshman year, we had two separate rooms where two of us stayed in each room. And then after that, I had my own room from there on out. But yeah, it was very close quarters.
Wow. Dad visit her at Harvard?
Yes, I her freshman year, I went there quite a few times just to check on her, communicate by the phone. Today's kids is more of a text thing than talking on the phone. But yeah, I've been to Harvard many times to many matches. I kind of wanted her to grow up a little bit, so I didn't really want to be there all the time. Her
Mhm.
mom usually went to all of the matches, so she would have some support there, which I think is important. But I kind of pulled away a little bit because I had been with her for so many years, just her and I. And now I thought it was a good chance that her and her mom can be spend that more time together, and then have her, grow up and mature much more than when she was smaller. So
Of
yeah,
course.
I think it worked out. She's grown up as a woman now versus a kid. So it
And so
worked.
you had graduated already from Harvard. What was your major?
I majored in English.
In English. Awesome. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Let's kind of go back. Reminds me so much of the Williams story, Venus and Serena. Were by them? What ways were you influenced by them?
Yeah, no, I was definitely influenced by their work ethic, I think, and their resilience, especially with all the things they had to deal with when they were younger and still now. I think it kind of showed me what strength looks like and that like the path isn't going to be easy, but it's easier when you have people to lean on. They were able to lean on each other. I was able to lean on my family and my sister, who doesn't play tennis but was always there for me. And yeah, so
And what inspired you? How did the Williams family inspire you?
Oh, you
Yeah,
actually made the question?
I'm
yeah,
asking you, Joe.
yeah,
Well, I just looked at the journey that they went. The dad, he did a lot of research. He watched a lot of tennis. He never
Mhm.
really was the actual tennis player, but I believe you can really learn any sport and any topic if you study it, you stay disciplined, you work hard, and the story, later on, I ended up watching the movie. As a parent, especially as an African American parent, you go through a lot of tough times, and I could really relate to the things that he went through. So it kind of did give me like a preparation of what was to come, because there's not a lot of African American tennis players out there, and if you can get
Absolutely, yeah.
you can get to a high level, you really have went through a lot of barriers. It's a lot of barriers out there to where most tennis parents would just quit and just like, hey, this is too expensive, this is too hard. A lot of parents expect their kid to win, and
Ah,
this is a sport where you can lose, and then later on start winning. Maxi got out the gate fast, so she was fortunate. She was determined to just stay out there and win matches, which it's very difficult to do, because a lot of other players that we played against and parents in the tennis field, they had parents that were coaches, they had sisters and brothers that were tennis players. So they had an inbuilt head start. And we had to recover. So it was interesting because Maxi passed a lot of players that were like considered prodigies. And it was very interesting. And I'm sure I don't know if you know that Coco Golf was one of her doubles partners in juniors. They went to the finals in a junior tournament when I think Maxie was 10. So it's interesting to see how players continue to develop. And Coco Golf is number 2 in the world, just won the French Open. So
absolutely.
tennis is an incredible sport, because we've seen people now that are playing professional, and we've seen them at 6, 7 years old. So
Wow.
it's really amazing.
That is amazing. How do you balance it all? Being a protector, provider, and an encourager. How did you balance that?
Well,
Staying on
like
your faith,
well,
spiritual
it
community?
was yeah, it wasn't easy. I'm being honest with you. It wasn't easy. And I agree with Maxi. I used to write a lot of things down and try to stay disciplined. You know, I prayed a lot because there were times where I kind of wanted to like, man, I don't know if I can do this. I keep going with this. I never told my daughter this because I never wanted to have her feel any kind of defeated. So what I tried to do, I always try to instill confidence, dream big, you can do it, we're not quitters. Life is going to be difficult along the road, and this will make you tougher as you get older because then you will have no fear. And that's what I tried to instill in her: have no fear in life and just try to continue to reach the highest level of greatness. And our beliefs, we prayed a lot. um, a lot of times you have to lean on faith because it's life is hard in general. Now you're trying to add a sport into it. It's very difficult. So we stayed together as a family, and we were able to overcome all obstacles.
Wow, this is an incredible story. I love it. Um, Maxie, where do you see yourself going? Do you see yourself going pro now?
I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. I'm in New York. I have a job here, working in book publishing, and I'm enjoying my time here. But, I'm still playing some tennis. It's a great form of exercise, if anything, and it's just a really enjoyable thing. So I guess you can't really speak to the future, kind of just trying to take one step at a time. I had my last trip with my tennis team a couple of days ago, so everything's still really fresh, but I can't say what the future holds yet.
Oh, okay. Uh, Gerald, would you like to see her go pro?
I would like her to do what she wants to do.
Uh,
Um, but then one side of me is like, she's so talented. And I've watched tennis, the pros in the last 10, 15 years. And my true belief, if she decided to go that route and she decided to put the effort in there, you would see her on TV in a Grand Slam one day. But that's my opinion, and that's not up to me. As a
yeah,
parent, you just try to guide your children to the best of their ability, and then let them make the decision. Because in life, you know, you got to make decisions, and it might not be somebody else's decision.
yeah,
It has to be your decision, and
yeah,
then you would have no regrets.
yeah. I would like to see you go pro. I think you got it in you.
Thank you.
Who's more competitive between you two? Are you both competitive, or who's more competitive?
I don't know. We're both really competitive. Maybe my dad, he takes it quite far sometimes with the board games, I would say. Maybe him a little bit.
Is that true, Gerald?
Probably because I used to play cards with my older. I was only like 6 years old, and they taught me how to play cards at a young age. At a young age, so it gave me a lot of juices that I would not like to lose in anything. And Max is the same way. She don't want to lose. She's just saying that right now. But if me and her play any sport, she doesn't want to lose. She doesn't want to lose. So.
Oh, okay. I think she got that from her father. Yeah. What's the one thing you both admire about each other? Maxie, what do you admire about your father the most?
I think probably his ability to be able to push himself past like what he thinks he can do. That's something I have always struggled with, but he's always pushed himself and pushed me to places like that I wouldn't have gone, experiences that I wouldn't have done if he hadn't said like, no, you have to do it, or no, you can do it, I would say. And just his resilience is very impressive and inspiring, and something that I have always admired about him, because we've been through a lot of hardships and he's always been very strong for me and my entire family.
I admire that. And Gerald, what do you admire about Maxie the most?
Well, one thing I do admire about Maxie is her toughness. When we had the pandemic, we had to move to Arizona, and there was really nothing going on except for we were lucky to have met a coach from Spain, and we were able to train while the pandemic was going on. And she ended up winning 17 matches in a row, and which is just unheard of. She won 2 pro tournaments and a college tournament. And I just noticed she just continued to get tougher. She continued to get tougher. She was able to do multiple things. When she got to Harvard, she not only played tennis and went to school, she worked in the law library, also for the Crimson newspaper. So her toughness is just incredible. I believe she can do anything. If she wants to be president of the United States, a senator, a judge, I really truly believe Maxie Duncan has no limitations.
I love that. I love that. Maxie, what message do you want to share with young girls who are pursuing their dreams?
I think to just like shoot for the moon, I think is always what I would try to do. Like when I was 8, I was like, I'm going pro, I'm not even going to college. And like that wasn't realistic, but it helped me push myself and my body to like new heights, to where I got to school and I felt very ready for everything. So I
Mhm.
think to have like really big dreams is always really great. I wouldn't have said when I was 8 that I was going to Harvard, but I always thought I was going great places, probably from my dad, but also myself thinking that I can do it. And I think just having faith in yourself is really important to push you to the next level.
I think that's great, and that's key because you pretty much you spoke it. You spoke it. Words have power. Uh, Gerald, what advice would you give to fathers raising daughters in these days? These days.
Yeah, these days are really tough with
Yeah.
social media,
Yeah.
with just how diverse the world is. I would just try to tell any parent is just try to be very patient with their kids. It may not be what you want them to be, it may be something they want to do, but just be patient with it. Let your child figure it out and let them figure out what they want to do, and continue just to be there to reassure them, be a shoulder for them to lean on, and and spend time. That's one thing that I would never regret in life. I've spent pretty much my whole life in my daughter's career with her almost every day. So it really got me a chance to be close with her. We had our fights, of course, but it it was really, I would do it all the same way all over again. It's no regrets at all. It's been some of the most enjoyable times in my life, because I know I helped with her mom create a very special young lady, and also our other daughter we raised too. Both of them are very special on the same level, and it was just fun. It was, maybe we'll write a book one day about it, because again, like, we had no tennis knowledge at all, but we've got a lot of stories inside of it, and it was fun, and I hope to continue to build her career up.
Well, you are a wonderful example of what a father should be. And Maxie, you should be very grateful, girl. I know that you are. And one of these days I hear about those fights that y'all used to have too. I know you were like, Dad, you're all in my mug, you're all in my business, you're all up in my face. Why don't you just let me be
Potentially,
a teenager, right?
potentially, yeah.
Most of the fights were like on the court. She'd be like, "Dad,
Oh,
shut
most of the
up."
fights were on the court. Okay.
Like, "Dad, shut up while I'm playing."
Let me play in peace. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh wow, this has been great. Thank you both for showing up and being an example to young people and being an example to other fathers, Gerald. Um, and I just want to thank you again. Thank you both.
Yeah. Thank you for
Much,
having us. We
Thank
really
you for
much,
having us.
you're very welcome. Much success to you both.
thank you.
All
Thank you.
right. All right. God bless y'all.
God bless you too. Thank
God
you.
bless you
Thank
too.
you. Mhm.